So this isn't really a class on Reiki. I'm just going to be passing you an attunement. So of course, if you're new to Reiki, there's so many good books on the subject. There's so much information online that you can check out. So feel free to go look at that. But I'm just going to give you a brief understanding of it. And then more importantly, I'm going to pass Reiki attunement. I used to do this quite often when I taught at the Sedona store when it was in the Worth Center. They've since moved, and that was where Ellen and I met. And I used to teach Reiki for a number of years and attuned about 104 Reiki masters. And what I've come to really understand and appreciate about Reiki is that the level 1 attunement, anybody could receive. And you don't have to go through a training. To me, it's like your birthright to just have this ability to just do hands-on healing. Now, does that mean that you need to have a Reiki attunement to be a healer? Of course not. There are a lot of people who are doing amazing healing work and they never studied with anybody or learned Reiki or anything. You know, it's not like you have to go and get certified. I just want to make that clear. Classes and things are useful, but they're really basically sort of more like permission slips, if you will, that are useful because the conscious mind likes to have, you know, something to hang on the wall and say, look, I got certified in this. I got trained in this. I can do this. That's a permission slip. Do you need the permission slip? No. Will it help you gain confidence if you believe you need one? Sure. But I want to be clear that you don't need that. Okay, because a lot of people think that they need certain things in order to do something, and you don't really. It's just your belief. But if it works for you, great. Go and take a training, go and become a Reiki master or be certified in anything they feel drawn to. But understand that all healing is self-healing, meaning that you can't really force anybody to heal. You can't, all you're doing is creating the conditions, creating this space of love and support, even simply holding this vision of them healed in your mind. Okay, that can help tremendously because somebody who's sick, they're basically rather depleted. Right? They're exhausted. They're maybe at their wit's end, or they're really down and they feel lost. And so because we are all one, we can certainly connect with somebody and lift them up and support them to heal themselves. But ultimately, it's up to that person. And also want to make it clear that some people are going through what they're going through because they have, let's just say, agreed on some level, they've set it up on some level to experience that condition, maybe to learn through their illness. And I know most of us would say, well, why would they do that? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Well, you don't have to do that, but some people have chosen that. You may, in fact, have chosen that before you came in, and now you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with. So the best way to approach life in general is just to come at it with a positive attitude and the idea of, well, what can I get from this? What could I turn this into that could be to a blessing to me, even if it's something really hard or tragic or painful, okay? Because if you have that attitude, then you can find the gift in that. You can find what it is you're here to experience or learn from that. So because of this idea, this reason that, you know, some people have maybe without their knowing consciously have set it up to have this condition, this illness, whatever the experience is, you know, you can't jump in there and fix it. So that's why you can't heal everybody. Like Jesus didn't heal everybody, did he? And didn't he say, your faith has made you whole? It wasn't, he never said, yeah, I healed you. He basically said, your faith, your belief, you healed yourself. You can let the healing in, or you could reject the healing, or you might need to have the condition to grow from, to learn from, to experience from. Okay, Alan's reminding me that sometimes people might get some condition as actually to teach others around them right? That there's something that those around them are going to learn and experience because their loved one is struggling or maybe born with a disability. He's reminding me of our friend Kathy, whose daughter was born just, I don't know what her condition was, but she basically was from birth was incapacitated. She couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe on her own. She was hooked up to breathing devices. She couldn't sit up. She was just lying in a bed, like until I believe she passed, she was about 6 or 7 years old. So she lived in that state all that time. And the thing is that she was a very highly evolved soul. And her mother became very intuitive because she couldn't communicate with her daughter because her daughter was basically just like always zoned out, always kind of aware, but she couldn't speak. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't hold her head up. She was just lying in bed and couldn't communicate. So my friend and even her family became very intuitive. They became very spiritual. And that was a gift in it. And then when her daughter passed, they feel the daughter everywhere. Like they get signs that the daughter is always with them. And their daughter is now out of a body free, and she can interact with her parents, with her siblings. They pick up on her. So it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. But it was really tough, as you can imagine, having a baby that is basically completely disabled and needs 24-hour care. You have to go on Medicaid to get that care, and you're constantly worried that she's going to take her last breath and die, for like 7 years. That's really intense. But the gift in it was tremendous, the development that they all went through as a family, and it was tough. But I'm just giving you an example of why sometimes these situations happen, whether for ourselves or others, right? So that said, with Reiki, the treatment I'm going to give you, basically, to me, the power of Reiki is that there are Reiki guides that govern the modality that is Reiki. Okay, anytime somebody steps in and says they want to be, attuned to Reiki, or they want to be a Reiki practitioner, these guides will come in, and they're the ones who actually are going to do the attunement on you. I learned that firsthand when I did my first Reiki class, because I wasn't even clear what I was doing. I was just following directions. My guide said, you're going to teach this class. Don't worry, we're teaching it, but you're going to hold the space. You're going to teach it. So I show up, but the conscious mind, ego part of me is going, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, what is this about? Like, is this really going to work? And they're saying, of course it's going to work. We're the ones teaching the class through you. Right? You're holding the space. You're being the channel. And so I would go up to people and do this attunement, and interesting things would happen. Or one person, I remember I couldn't do the attunement correctly on her. It was really weird. And then when I told her later, she goes, you know what? She says, I've always liked that. She says, I always want to be different. She had this belief in her field, and I was responding to it like, okay, with her, this was my friend Kathy, the one with the daughter that was disabled. She ended up being a friend. She wasn't at the time. And I said, I kept doing something different with her. And she said, because I believe that I'm really different. And so that made sense. But it was a powerful class. And in fact, to this day, somebody who was in it, who became a friend, said that it was to this day still the most powerful meditation that I led them through in his entire life. And I said, well, that was not on me. And I was holding space. I take credit for that. But that was the Reiki guides. Because I would work on somebody and I would think in my head, I think I did this attunement wrong. Okay, there's a process to it. And they'd go, don't worry, we're fixing it. And I go, okay. So I just did my best. And they said, that's all that matters. You do your best. Even when you make a mistake, it doesn't matter because we fix it, because you're not really doing it. It's your intention and your connection and your love, really, that is kind of leading the way. But we are doing this through you. So when I give you this attunement, I want you to understand that there are guides that come with it. And if you want, let's say, on the same more understanding of it, some of you who are ready for this, you could go into meditation and say, well, tell me about this. Like, Alan's saying would suggest if you don't know about Reiki, do that first. Go into meditation, ask these guides to explain what Reiki is, tell you a little bit about it, right? Tell me a little bit. And I don't mean that you're trying to get all the details about it. It's just saying, explain it to me, or show it to me and all that. And then go look it up. And understand that they are with it. I know they're with it. My students will tell you that too. And so you can interact with them. I'm a big believer in getting direct instruction, if you will, like going to the source, going to spirit, saying, tell me about this, explain this to me, or show this to me, help me understand this. Okay, whatever way the best way I can right now. And see where that takes you. Okay, because then that helps you grow instead of you trying to turn to others all the time. Nothing wrong with that. But at some point, we need to be a little more independent and say, I trust my sense of what's true for me or what's appropriate for me, and go with that, because that's going to take you further. Right. So I want you to understand that Reiki is, in its purest sense, is really, to me, is just channeling. It's just bringing through this energy and directing it to, especially on Reiki level 1, which is hands-on. You're not using symbols. I'm going to actually download the symbols into your auric field, into your consciousness. Some of you already have it there, whether or not you've studied Reiki before or not. Some of you have it there. I'm saying because of past lives. You have, let's just say, the frequency of it. Others, not so much. But for most of you, it's going to feel familiar. He says it will feel familiar to you because it's basically love. It's basically source energy. Everything is source, isn't it? That's all it is. It's not anything. We have put different labels on it, but it's essentially source energy. All healing is love, is source energy. So when I attune you, you might feel something, you might not. You might see colors, you might see shapes, you might get sensations, you might hear noises, you might smell something, you might feel absolutely nothing. That's what happened to me. And even when I'd work on people, I'd say, I don't feel anything. And then they'd say, oh my God, I felt this, I felt that, I had this experience. And I'd go, okay. And I felt nothing. So I want you to know your experience has nothing to do with it. You're going to get connected, and you're going to run the energy, and it's going to be there. Okay. You can eventually learn to feel it more, experience it more. You will, but in the beginning, if you don't, I don't want you to doubt it or question it at all. I just want you to say, all right, well, Pam didn't feel anything. And when she worked with people, they felt something profound many times, or sometimes they'd feel something subtle, and then you come back to me like, oh my God, later, like something major happened. So your job is just to do this and just know that you can't hurt yourself and you can't hurt anybody, because Reiki won't let you do that. It just won't. The worst thing that could happen to anybody, and this isn't even that bad, is if they're trying to put more of their energy into it. So if I attune you to Reiki, and let's say you put your hands on your daughter or somebody who's sick, right? Your child is sick. And if you try too much, like you're trying to force, because this is you forcing your energy instead of letting the energy just work through you and being guided by it. If you get involved, the worst that could happen, and I've seen this happen with just rarely, but occasionally, where is the person just feels this intensity that's almost like a burn. Okay, like one person described it like she felt like she got sunburned. In fact, she looked, and the place where the healer put their hands on her was like red. It wasn't like a 3rd degree burn or anything like that. It just looked like she had a sunburn. Okay, and she said, oh my goodness, like what is that? The healer was actually, their ego was projecting too much of their energy with it. Okay, so that's the worst that can happen. But that's not going to happen to you, right? You know this. You say, I'm not going to get involved if I'm going to do this with somebody I care about. And I would suggest you only do this with people close to you, not go out there. Alan says, don't hang up a shingle and say, I'm a Reiki healer and I'm going to put my hands on people. That would not be an integrity, right? But with your friends and loved ones, you just say, hey, I'm I'm using this Reiki energy. I'm attuned to it. Would you mind? Would you like it? Fine, no, yes, no, whatever. Go ahead, go do that. But mainly it's for your healing and those closest to you who understand, who be open to it. But you can all, when I give this to you, Alan is reminding me, when we give this to you, we're also kind of putting in this, what I call a meta rule, like a rule that governs all the other rules, that says, if you accept this, that basically says either something useful will happen or nothing will happen. Okay. And that protects you. So nothing negative will happen because you're commanding it to be so. So the worst that could happen for you or somebody else is nothing. Like, oh, nothing happened. I didn't get anything. I think we can all live with that, right? Okay, nothing happened. Nothing changed. That's okay. That's, in fact, that could still happen, even in the best of circumstances. Right. So Reiki was discovered, and Alan's laughing, discovered by Mikao Usui, who is Japanese. And I feel a connection to Usui and the whole Reiki story because Hawao Nakata, who brought Reiki to the east, to the west rather, from the east to the west, was actually living in Kauai. And when she moved from, after she learned and was trained by Usui, and she's the one who brought to the West. And she lived in Kauai, and my grandmother was from Kauai. And my grandmother was also a healer and a medium on Kauai, kind of around the same time. But my grandmother was not a Reiki practitioner. So I feel this connection because it's connected to Hawaii. And that was really the launching point for bringing Reiki to the world. And it was priced very expensive. I think at the time, in the early days, it was like $25,000 to be a Reiki master. There might still be people charging that, but now it's, when I taught my Reiki training, it was, I think it was like for Reiki 1, 2, and 3, actually all the way up to master, like a one deal thing, the whole thing, taking you from Reiki level 1 to master was about $800 or $900. Okay, for that, because I wanted to reach as many people as possible. So I'm giving you this Reiki attunement so that you can use the energy to heal yourself, right? That said, I'm giving all the attunements to you, meaning that they're kind of being downloaded into you, okay? Technically, this is just technically, you could go out there and be a Reiki master, but you probably won't be, because your consciousness, like your conscious mind, physical mind, would say, wait a minute, we don't have the training for that. And you would be right, and yet not, because you could take this and use it as a foundation for your own, say, brand of healing. Because I've since learned, after studying Reiki and practicing Reiki and training all these Reiki masters, that really the best approach is to be very intuitive with your healing, to just show up really connected to source, connected to that Reiki energy, or connected to God, whatever you want to say it is, and do what you're guided to do. It's just that for most of you, you struggle with it because you think, I'm not trained in this, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And because you think that, then you won't know what you're doing. Got it? So if you start thinking, I know what I'm doing, okay, there you go. You don't know what you're doing. If Alan's saying there could be 1 or 2 people who watch this now or later who say, I'm going to run with this and see what I can do. And you could find that you have this amazing ability to heal people if you let the energy teach you. If you just trust that I'm a born healer, I am source energy, I am God in a physical body, I can be guided by the Reiki guides, by God, by source. And if I just trust completely, knowing that I am God, I am source, I'll know what to do. If there's anything I can do, because there might not be, right? Because you might not be able to help the person. That might not be appropriate. That might not be the next step for them. But if it is, and you're that person, if you just said, I'll trust what I'm guided to do, and you just tuned in and followed that, you could have, a powerful effect on somebody and help them heal themselves. right? Most of you won't do that. Not that you can't do that. Most of you do not believe you can do that, and that's the only problem. Belief creates everything. Okay, so taking a training basically convinces the student, right, the practitioner, that they can do it. Do they need to? Not really. Not some people. Most people, yeah. Most people, yes. So, but we're just giving this to you to help you, for those of you who are grieving, and many of you are, so that you can run this energy and calm your body down, calm your mind down. It just kind of gives you permission to just let the love in, let the healing in. I would say, put on your heart, put your hand on your heart, let the energy really soak in that area, in that chakra, or put it anywhere on your body. I'm telling you first before I even attune you, like to put your hand, once you're attuned to it, put your hand somewhere. Let's say if you have a headache, so put your hand on your head, or maybe if you have a neck pain, wherever it is, and just run the energy. And the simplest way that I do is just say Reiki on. Like I've turned it on, like Reiki on, and just run the energy. I've done that when, I don't know, like I have a muscle spasm or something. I'll put my hand on the area and just say Reiki on, and it just shifts. Okay, you just run the energy. It's just your intention is going to turn it on. And again, just trust what shows up. Just trust what you're being guided to do. Reiki, or in learning any sort of hands-on modality, or even learning massage, opens people up psychically and even to the other side. Because when you, especially if you're working on somebody, you're in their field, aren't you? This is like you're laying hands on somebody. You're in their energy field. You normally aren't. Probably even with your best friends, you're not normally putting, your hands on their neck and running, really engaging with their energy field, are you? Normally you're not. But when you do that with a friend or a stranger, guess what? Their loved ones are around them. And if the loved ones are frantically trying to come through, like a friend of mine was just explaining to me how he took his Reiki training, master level, and he was working on somebody in class. And he was shocked to find that all her dead relatives are around her, trying to get her attention. Okay. And he was like, oh my God, what do I do? Because he couldn't focus on doing the Reiki because they were just all wanting to talk to her. And I talked to him later about it. And I said, well, clearly they're concerned about her and wanted to communicate with her. And she hasn't let them in. And he said, when he asked her later, she even said, oh yeah, this happens to me all the time. Her loved ones are trying to get, and I said, because I tuned into her and I told my friend, I feel that she's not listening. They're trying to help her and they're banging on the door saying, listen, listen, listen. Okay, I'm using this example to tell you that there are beings in somebody's field. So that's why when somebody learns something like massage or any healing modality that's hands-on, or Ellen says, even if it's remote healing, that you start connecting on that deeper level. And so you start picking up other things. So our hope is that an intention is that if you start practicing Reiki on yourself, or even people around you that are close, who are comfortable with you doing that for them, that you'll start noticing that you become more sensitive, that perceptive to the energies around you, or even beings that might be there. Okay. And Alan's saying, now, if you don't want that, you can just shut that down. Okay. But I think that most of you who are here, who are trying to connect with someone through the veil, probably want that. So this will help you. Okay, this will really help you. Right. But the Kawasui basically just had this, I don't know what you would call it, this transformative experience when he just kind of was downloaded with the Reiki method. But in the beginning, it was just running energy. It had nothing to do with the symbols. That came later. You can read about that. That came later. So you don't need the symbols. That the symbols are powerful only because so many people have been trained in Reiki. So that means that this is, how can I put it? It's denser in this reality because so many people have learned it, focus on those symbols, use those symbols. So that's what makes them powerful. In and of themselves, they were nothing until we people started to use them and associate them with Reiki, because a symbol is just a symbol. I draw a line on a piece of paper by itself means nothing. And the only meaning is what I put into it. And then it becomes stronger because other people then agree with the meaning and say, oh, that's what that symbol means. That's what it's for. And now we're kind of off to the races. Like, okay, now we've got something. But by itself, it's nothing. We gave it meaning. Okay. So Alan says, let's get the show on the road. So I'd just like you to relax. All right, whatever you're doing, just relax. And just take some deep cleansing breaths with the intention of centering yourself and letting go of any stress, any worries, any concerns. Know that this experience you're about to have is something literally millions of people have gone through, even if they didn't call it Reiki. Being connected to source, being connected to God, creator, whatever your name for this higher power is, you're going to connect to this universal life force energy. Whatever you want to call it, it's all love. It is who you are. It is who and what you will always be. What you're doing is just opening up to the fullness of your divinity, right? And I just want you to continue to breathe, let go of any last remaining stress or any energies that don't belong to you. Let them all go. Feel them just washing away, just flowing away from you. And now focus your awareness on your heart. See this beautiful light. It might look pink, it might look gold, it might look white, whatever the color is. Let that light grow brighter. Let that light that is essence of who you are just fill your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Just run your energy. And if you sense any areas of distress, discomfort in your energy field or in your body, let it go. Just using the power of your intention. Now, wherever you're sitting, relaxing, or just like you have your hands open, like the palms of your hands open in your lap or at the side of you if you're lying down. Just have your palms facing up, open. Because in a moment, we're going to download you with the Reiki symbols and the energy, both in your palms of your hands, but also through the top of your head, your crown chakra. So take a deep breath in and open your crown chakra wide. As we transmit the symbols and ask for the Reiki guides to attune you, to allow those symbols, the Reiki energy just flow through your crown chakra, down to your throat, which is your throat chakra. It went through your third eye. Don't think it missed it. It went through that too. Let it go down to your heart, your stomach, near your solar plexus, sacral chakra below that, and your root chakra. Let the energy run through all your chakras. We're seeing the symbols not only flooding your body, but also overflowing into your auric field, your energy body. And the symbols are also being placed into the palms of your hands so that those hand chakras are fully activated. You might feel a tingling, you might feel heat, you might feel coolness, you might feel nothing. You might even see the symbols or just have a sense of them. Whatever you experience is perfect. Now let yourself just float in this energy field. And if there's any area of your body that is in distress or needs healing, if you feel comfortable doing so, you can put your hand there. It could be both hands or one hand, whatever you feel guided to do. If you just want to run the energy in a more general fashion, you could put your hands on your heart. We're asking the Reiki guides to attune you and activate you to this energy to the fullest capacity you're able to hold right now. This will increase in time, but for now, you're given exactly what you're needed. Take a deep breath in and see if you could feel the energy in a more palpable, visceral way. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. If not, that can change next time. So let your experience be perfect for you. And allow the energy to go into every cell of your body, helping you to balance, to detox whatever you need to detox that you're able to right now. Let the energy restore you to wholeness. Let it rejuvenate you. And let it give you whatever you need, whether that be strength, courage, inner peace, self-love, forgiveness, hope. They're telling me, the guides are telling me, for those of you who want this, you're wanting to strengthen your clairaudience, ability to hear spirit. And if you don't feel like you want to do this now, you can do it later. But running the energy as you're doing so now, place your hands over your ears. And let's run the Reiki energy to amplify our ability to hear psychically. Okay. That's not the only place. Let's put that over our throat chakra for communication when you're ready. Just run the energy there. They're showing me that you can ask the energy when you place it on your ears or any place to say, please clear any blockages I might have on your throat chakra, your ears, right? The clear audience. And they're saying that also the good thing to do following this is start trusting what you're feeling guided to do. Because they can and they will start to talk to you louder. I think that's why they told me to put your hands on your ears. They wanted you to hear them more. Okay, like somebody talking to you, not like a third party. It could seem like you're talking to yourself, but you won't be. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Because here's the thing. So let's say you put your hands on your throat chakra and say, all right, thank you, help me to improve my communication with others and the spirit world. Okay, like everybody, right? So you're asking for that. They'll give you what you need. They give you what they can. Spirit always gives us everything they can. Okay, but there's limits, and some of it is up to us to work through. So if your intention, let's say, is to improve that communication with spirit world, and you run Reiki on that throat chakra, they may guide you to do something. They may guide you to learn something or read something, right? So that's the other component. It's not just us being, okay, I'm not going to say completely passive because we're running the energy, but you know what I mean? Like we're being more receptive, aren't we? We're putting our hands on ourselves and we're running the energy. But there's sometimes action needs to be taken, and they could guide us as to what that action might be. So start paying attention to those impulses, those feelings you get, and it'll be positive. There won't be negative feelings. You know, if you get like a negative thought come in, that's not higher guidance. That's your ego self. The other side is never going to communicate in a negative way. Even if they're trying to talk to you about something that you might believe is negative, they're not going to broach the subject to you in a negative way. Oh, Heather, I'm glad you had a great experience. It's good to see you back. I know moving is really hard. Okay. So relax. We're still floating in that sea of Reiki love. You can return to it. Okay. Just know that it's there for you whenever you need it. Right? The way to run this energy is to just let it run until it seems to stop, or unless you have to go somewhere. But if possible, let it run until because you'll be able to start sensing when it stops. Literally, when you say Reiki on, it starts. And when you feel it kind of dissipate, the energy dissipate, it's done. Or again, or if you have to go somewhere, then you have to close it down. If you're someone who's highly sensitive to energy, you might want to really ground yourself to the earth, just visualizing you're sitting down roots, grounding yourself to the center of the earth. Okay. If you're in our academy, there's an attunement in there. I think it's still in there. The I Am Grounded attunement. That attunement I created for one of my students who could never, ever ground herself. I mean, literally did everything, all different exercises, classes, you name it. She could never get grounded. And Spirit told me, create that attunement. And I let her know that she inspired me to create it. And so she tried it. It was the first time she ever experienced being grounded. Oh, she said, oh my God, is this what it's like to be grounded? Wow, I am in my body. This is amazing. So if you're in the academy, there's lots of attunements that are really useful for you. So go check it out. That's why we created them. Otherwise, Alan says, go out and hug a tree, or go put your feet on the earth, literally like the grass, or better yet, or even concrete, because that's made of, like earth, let's say, but get grounded. Don't just let yourself float away. The paradox is, the more grounded you are, the easier it is to connect to the other side. You might think it would be opposite, that if I was ungrounded, he says, no, because you can't really navigate it very well if you're ungrounded. You're kind of like all over the place. And this is not where we're trying to teach you. All right. So if you feel like the energy is really settled in you, and what we're doing is you're really grounding it into you right now, like really putting that in and anchoring it. Okay. And when you're ready, just come. Some of you already kind of come out, but come more fully out. You can rub your hands together to really put yourself back in your body. Or again, visualize roots going down through the floor. And so I have to get off soon. I mean, well, before, in about maybe 5-10 minutes. But are there any questions while we're here? You can put them in the chat if you want, or you could raise your hand if you want, whatever you want to do. Or are you all zoned out? So a wonderful way to use this is before you go to sleep, to run the energy. If you're having trouble sleeping, to just run that energy and just kind of drift off to sleep with it. You can fall asleep with your hands on your heart. Running the energy, Bill, it's a question. Yeah, just saying Reiki on, like Reiki on means you're running the energy, like Reiki on. That's all you have to do. Just say Reiki on. Oh, thanks, Robin. So glad you could be here. She says, thank you, Pam and Ellen. I felt tingles all over. I received the healing and attunement. She needs to go. So that's all you have to do is say Reiki on, right? Or if you rather do something a little more complex, not too complex, but say, just ask the Reiki guides, please help me run Reiki through my body, or call them to you. They don't really have names, but trust me, any modality that's created in this world, there are guides attached to it who kind of oversee it, who work with the people who are using that modality. That's how the spirit world works. So you can, that's why he said, you can engage with them, ask them to guide you, ask them to explain more about it to you. This is a fun way for you to have your own hands-on experience of them, rather than going and reading all the different books about Reiki. I'm not saying those books are not correct. I'm just saying, why don't you try and have your own experience and then go read the book? Because right now we're shifting into a time in our real, or let's just say, okay, let me back up a bit. We can't really change the world. We change ourselves. And on changing ourselves, we can shift into a world of our preference, because the reality is there are many parallel Earths. There are many parallel realities. And the reason you're seeing so much discord and polarization on the planet, like literally like we see it in the news, right? The reason that's happening is because we're here to choose which parallel reality, parallel Earth we want to live in. I'm going to be talking more about that in the months to come, or maybe even just really soon. But that's what is always happened. And this is what's happening in a more pronounced way because of the ascension. So there are people who are choosing, and it's fine, they're choosing not to live in a state from a place of love and connection and harmony and inclusion, but are choosing to live with fear, separation, segregation, condemnation. And there's not much in between. Are you noticing that? There's not much in between where there was before, but now there isn't. So what you're essentially doing is basically just deciding which reality do I want to live in, which do I prefer? Not saying, let me try to change the world. Let me try to convince these people. Forget about those people. Just decide the reality you want to exist in. Reach for that. Focus on that, right? Let the other people do what they want to do. They're perfect. They're fine. They're going to do well. They're part of source. They're God too. They're just going on a different journey than you. Okay. Yeah, Marie's mentioning the book Reiki Healing Yourself and Others by I'm sorry, that she's talking about Marsha Barak. That's one book, but it's also there's many books. Essential Reiki is a book that I actually used to with my Reiki students by Diane Stein. So there's many books on Reiki. My shelf is full of them. And there's lots of information online now too. So, but I suggest, I'm hearing the guides strongly suggest that you make your connection first rather than reading what other people say about it, because then you'll say, oh, I had that experience and I'm reading about it. Some flavor of it, each book is going to be a little different. It'll speak to different people. There's different perspectives. Your perspective is the only thing that really matters in the end. Okay. Trust what you're guided to read in terms of Reiki and know that that is the person's perspective. And all that matters again is yours. So you can run the energy whenever you want to. You could use this on other people. Let them know, of course, yeah, I'm not trained in this, but you don't have to tell them using Reiki. Just say, oh, okay, I'll just send you healing. This is hands-on. So let me put my hands on your neck if that's the part that hurts them. And although you're not trained to do remote healing, Alan's laughing to me saying that you guys can do that too. You don't need to take Reiki 2 is where you learn to do remote healing. You could actually practice sending remote healing because we gave you everything. We gave you all the symbols. We gave you 100% of the energy. The reason I differentiate between 100% of the energy, say that, because I don't think everybody does this now, but it used to be that they would attune you and give you only, let's say, access to 33.33% of the whole Reiki energy, which I always thought didn't make any sense to me. But that was the traditional way of teaching. I don't know if they all do that now, but that was it. And so you would get the next 33.33% when you took Reiki 2. And then you became master, you get the remaining, right? And I just didn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't you give them everything? Because some people will not go forward to learn Reiki 2, or maybe they'll get to Reiki 2, but they won't learn Reiki Master. And I didn't make sense to me because I said, wait a minute, God is inclusive and gives all, but so why would you do that? And then I understood when I thought about it, read about it later, and okay, when Reiki was first, let's say, being taught in the early days, people weren't able to handle the energy. The consciousness, mass consciousness was not at the level that it is now. But I promise you, all of you could handle this. Okay, nothing intense is going to happen. And if it does, Alan was saying to me, just call on the Reiki guides, use your own intuition as to what to do about it. But it is so, what they're showing me, it's very much guided and managed by the other side at this point. And that you guys are all, especially you guys that are here in our group, you're all able to do it. So don't let your fear create something that you don't need to experience. Okay, because that's the only thing that could kind of trip you up. Oh, thanks, Jan. Jan says, thank you so much, Pam and Alan. Love your attunements and meditations. Always get a lot out of them. I'm so glad. Thanks. And let me see, I'm not catching up with all your comments. Ginger says we all need healthy, loving, and healing. Yeah, we all need that. And yes, Sandy, rewatch it later. Okay, one of my friends just messaged me. Get a big influx of energy Sunday. This help you acclimate. Okay, yeah, be sure to integrate this, right? We're helping you really like ground it into your reality. We're all about taking you really high and up there, but also bringing you, because what's the point of you getting sky high and you can't bring it into the 3D world? You know, you live here and there, but you're living here right now. So, all right, so just take your time with this. If anything starts to come up for you, because it might, okay, like emotional release, that kind of thing, then let it come through, run the energy, running it, just say Reiki on, run the energy. It's your intention that turns it on, right? Saying Reiki on is just you really just intending and saying turn on. You don't really have to say Reiki off, but you can if you want to. Oh, thanks, Bill, for your comments. And I'm glad, Cynthia, that you're connected with the guides. Yeah. So let us know, guys who are in the Facebook group, let us know your experiences. And if you have any questions, and please, whether you're in the group right now, watching this, right? Live stream in the group, or you're on Zoom with us and you go back to the group, if you're in our group, can you please comment on this video? Because that way more people will see it, because that's how Facebook is. If people do not post, the post, the whatever it is, a video, whatever it is, gets buried. Like, so people don't see it. This is how Facebook is. The more you comment, engage with something, the more it shows it to more people. And also, those of you who are in our group, if you want, be sure not to miss anything, be sure to set your notifications so that you do get notified of our posts. You'll get notified of our announcements for things. Okay, that's the other way that you won't miss anything. Otherwise, you have to come back and check it out. But so we do everything we can to let you know what we're doing, but we have some cool things coming up that I promise you won't want to miss. I was just talking with a friend of mine that we're going to, well, I have a bunch of people I'm going to be teaching with, a bunch of people, and some really cool things we're going to do that I don't think you want to miss. But so be sure that you set your notifications or you check your email. Some of you may not be getting our emails. They may be going to your spam folder. I don't email about every live, but I did this one. And so you haven't been getting them. You might want to check if you're on most of you should be on our email list. Okay, that's why we do take your email, because it's hard to get in touch with you and let you know what we're doing. You can always unsubscribe, right? You can get in the group and say, I don't want this anymore. You can always unsubscribe. But this way, at least you get initially some of our announcements of what we're doing. And yes, once in a while, we're going to talk about, other services we offer that you don't have to partake of, but that's how we keep the lights on. And we need to do that, or I won't be able to be here anymore. So it's up to you. We're committed to helping people as much as we can for free as well. So love you. See you next week. And those of you who are in our academy, I have something interesting we're going to try, as well as talk about channeling. And so I can't wait to see you guys in about 30 minutes or so in our academy. All right. So have a great rest of the week, and we'll be back. You can unmute and say goodbye if you want to. We like to sometimes hear you guys. Hey, everybody. I know most of you are not on camera. But
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank
you. Bye.
Good
Guys. Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Sending all of you lots of love. All right. Bye-bye.